Hello everyone, myself Robin. Welcome to Code Beings, and in this video we will know about some more operations that we can perform using terminal commands and how can we take advantage of shell scripting to do our work more efficiently. So let's go to the first concept, which is, let's say we want to move a certain file from one location to another location. So how to do that? If you see in the screen, let's first go to desktop. For that, we will use CD, which stands for change directory. I pressed enter. Now, if you see PWD, now we are inside the desktop. Again, now go to the test shell. And if we see PWD, now we are inside the test shell folder. Now, let me clear the screen. Now, let's create a file which we want to move from the test shell folder. How can we create an empty file? Using the touch command. Let's say it is a.txt. If we use ls, we will see a.txt is now created. Now let's create another folder inside this particular test shell directory. How to do that? Using mkdir. Let's say it is folder 2. With ls we can check. We have now a folder 2 and a.txt. Now suppose we want to move means cut paste. Okay, we want to move this a.txt from the test shell folder to this folder 2. How to do that? Okay, so there is a very simple command. Let me first clear the screen. So the command is mv, which stands for move, that is cut paste. Now what do we want to move? We want to move a.txt. And where do we want to move it? We want to move it inside folder 2. Now there is one important thing to remember. See, if I press return now, what will happen is this a.txt will be moved to folder 2 with the name a.txt. But in case, let's say we want to move this file a.txt inside folder 2, but we want it to have a different name inside folder 2, what we will do is we will have to pass something like slash and whatever the name you want to give it. Let's say suppose b.txt. Okay, let me repeat myself. So if we are just using this, what it will do is it will move a.txt from test shell to the folder 2. We can check with ls. We can see now there is no a.txt in test shell, but in its subfolder, that is folder 2, if we see, we have a.txt. So now let's check the another concept. So let me first remove this file. Now you can check the folder is empty, and let's say we go back to the parent directory using cd space dot 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 means go back to the parent folder, and now we are in test shell. So now we will again create a file a.txt. Now this time what we want is we want to move this file a.txt inside folder 2, but we want it to have a different name. Okay, so how to do that? Use mv as a keyword or a command, the name of the file which you want to move, where do we want to move it. Now if I say something like b.txt, what it will do is it will move a.txt inside the folder 2 with the name b.txt. Okay, so to check it, let's do one very smart trick. Okay, so here if you see, this is this test shell. This test shell, as you can see, has a.txt and a folder. It have a.txt in a folder. Let's add some data. Okay, test data, now saved. Okay, now what we will do is we will run this particular command. Okay, so before we run it, let's clear. Now what we will do is we will move a.txt inside folder 2 with the name b.txt. I press return, enter, same thing. Okay, now let's use ls. Now you can see this file is moved. Okay, inside folder 2, if we go and use ls, then there is a file called b.txt. We can check this also in test shell. Now there is no a.txt inside folder. If we open, we have b.txt. We can check by opening it, it have the same data. Okay, so this is one way to move a file. Okay, similarly, let's say we want to rename this file. So currently we are inside folder 2 which have b.txt. Let's say we want to rename this file. So how to do that? We can use the same move command, move b.txt to a.txt. That is, inside the same folder, it will basically rename the file. Okay, we can check it also. Now if you see, folder 2 have a.txt, earlier it was b.txt, and the data is the same. Okay, now suppose let me just delete this particular file and go back to the parent directory. Okay, now let's say we create a file a.txt. okay, now we want to copy it. Okay, that is copy paste. Okay, instead of doing cut paste. So how to do that? There is a keyword or a command called cp. Now what do we want to copy? a.txt. Where do we want to copy it? Inside folder 2. If you want it to have some other name, you can type something like some other name .txt, whatever. Okay, so let's check this out also. Now if we do ls, now if you see, this a.txt is now also present inside this test shell. And if we go inside folder 2, which I'll show, let me first clear the screen. cd folder 2 ls, and it is present here also. We can check this using the GUI also. So inside test shell we also have a.txt, inside folder 2 we also have that a.txt. So with this, two more important operations, that is copy and move, are complete, and I hope this was helpful. Now there is one more thing also, that is how can we make advantage of shell scripting in improving our productivity. So basically shell scripting is a, think of it like a form of a script in which you can use expressions also, like if else, write functions also, logics, and you can basically program things. Okay, so we are not going into very deep details of shell script. So but basically we will just discuss about things which we can use to improve our work. Okay, so so what is a shell script? Basically it is kind of an executable file which have extension .sh. So let's first clear a shell script. Okay, so now we are in test shell. Okay, so let's create a file using touch, suppose, and the name is, let's say, first.sh. Okay, now if you go, we have first.sh. So the first line of a bash is always hash followed by the path of the bash. So how to get the path of a bash is using a command. Let me first clear it. Using a command which bash. So it will give you this particular bash. Depending on which operating system you are using, that path might vary. So I'm just copying it and I'm pasting it here. Okay, followed by, like, hash is followed by exclamation and then the path. Now you can use any of the commands which we have discussed in this or the previous video of the terminal commands, such as echo, testing, shell script. Okay, now let me save it and let's try to run this particular file. So how to run it? So first you have to give it a executable permission, which it can be done by chmod plus x, which stands for executable, and then the name of the file. So in our case, you can see the name of the file is first.sh. So we just pass first.sh. Now it have an executable permission, that is I can use something like dot slash and the name of the bash file. If I press the return key, it will start executing the code written inside .sh file. So here if you see, I just press the return. It said testing shell script, which was the line this. Okay, similarly, there is one more important use case. Suppose there is a complicated piece of code that you are writing and you want to do some move operations, that is move certain data from particular directory to another directory and so on. That can be written here. For example, move here.txt to folder 1 or blah blah blah. Like it executes things line by line. And importantly, suppose you have a Python file, okay, uh, which you want to run, okay, that can also be done here. Let's say file1.py. So what it will do is this particular file, I'll just save it. What it will do is it will first echo this, that is print this on the terminal, testing shell script, and then it will run this Python command followed by the file, that is it will start executing the file1.py. So we can check this also. Let's create a simple Python code. Okay, so how to do that? Echo, let's use echo print 1 2 3 and write it to what file? Okay, so the name is file1.py. So if we press now, you see we have file1.py. Now let's run this first.sh, and if I press the return, you see the echo is getting printed, and then this Python file got executed, which have a print function. We can check also. So if we open this file, it have a print function which is printing 1 2 3. Okay, similarly, there is something called command line argument that you can also pass in a bash script. Okay, and then you can later pass it to Python file depending on how you are coding things. Okay, if you need that. So with this, I think the concept of terminal commands and shell scripting and how to use it to our own advantage is pretty much clear. And with this, uh, this session is also complete. So to everybody who watched this session and the another session on Python programming fundamentals, take care. Bye bye.